Very happy to be here on behalf of the European Commission. I lead a team working on social and inclusive entrepreneurship and the social economy. And I have been invited today to talk about social enterprise development from the perspective of the European Commission, and with a particular reference to the action plan, which we're working to publish at the end of next year, as Joe mentioned. Now, the fact that we will publish this action plan reflects a stronger emphasis in this Commission on social economy, with Commissioner Schmidt, the Commissioner for Jobs and Social Rights, having been explicitly mandated by the Commission President to prepare this action plan. Now, when I was discussing with the organisers ahead of the event, it emerged that social economy may not be a very familiar term in the Irish context, and Paul was speaking about this a bit as well. I understand that the term social enterprise or cooperative may be more familiar to you. And indeed, Europe is a very heterogeneous continent with many different legal, administrative and cultural traditions. And we do see this reflected in some of the terminology and language we use. And we see that we have social economy in parts of Europe without people necessarily recognizing it or recognizing that language. But put very simply, from a European perspective, social economy encompasses a range of organisations and enterprises with different legal forms, and this includes social enterprises, cooperatives, mutuals, associations and foundations. But what they have in common is the fact that they put people at the centre of their activities, they reinvest most of their profit in their organisation or social mission, and they embrace participatory and inclusive governance. And I was also advised to say a few words about what we mean by social enterprise at the EU level. And indeed, it's important to understand that for us, it's a concept, not a legal form. So this allows us to adapt it to different European countries. And rather similar to the definition of what social economy means, it has three similar dimensions. The first is that the enterprise or organisation is engaging in economic, i.e. business or trading activities. Secondly, its primary mission is social and it reinvests most of its profits. And then thirdly, embraces a participatory and inclusive governance, so sometimes literally a democratic governance. Now, some countries have specific legal frameworks for them, others not, and they can be set up under a variety of legal forms. However, having this kind of concept at European level allows us to target some of our funding streams at organisations which meet this definition. Now, social economy and social enterprises are constantly growing in relevance. Indeed, we feel that we're at a turning point for our societies and economies due to the climate challenges facing us. The Commission has adopted a new European Green Deal at the beginning of this year, and the twin green and digital transitions are an important new context for our work. And the changes we have to make to achieve carbon neutrality are significant. But what's very important for us at the European Commission is that this transition is socially just. Now, the COVID-19 crisis and the recovery from it accentuate even more the need for the transition to be fair. And indeed, the scale of the social and economic impact of a pandemic of this kind was simply unimaginable when this Commission took office late last year. It's hit the poor hardest, and we know that it risks accentuating inequalities further. So we need, therefore, to reinvent an economic model based on fair, sustainable and inclusive growth, and which works towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And recognition of the role that the social economy and social enterprises can play in triggering transformation is gaining momentum. I mean, it's increasingly recognised that social economy organisations help people become more resilient. They help people enter the labour market, they create jobs, and many in the circular economy. They support people in reskilling and upskilling to increase their employability, including in the context of the green and digital transitions. They deliver social services such as healthcare, social housing, or affordable energy to the most vulnerable to cushion economic blows. And they can inspire systemic changes by promoting alternative business models based on revamped working relationships and principles such as collaboration or membership, or driven by social and environmental objectives. Now, it's currently estimated that the social economy in Europe represents 2.8 million entities and enterprises, over 13.6 million paid jobs, or in other words, 6.3% of the working population. But there are big variations across countries. Paid employment in the social economy varies between 0.6% and almost 10% amongst member states, which indicates that there's a major untapped economic potential to develop further. At the EU level, we've been active for some 10 years in this field. In 2011, the Commission adopted the so-called Social Business Initiative, or the SBI for short, and in 2016, it was followed up by the Startup and Scale-up Initiative. Now, as a result of these initiatives, we've worked in the last years on improving the visibility of the social economy, improving access to finance, improving access to markets, trying to improve framework conditions at the national level, assisting member states in that, fostering the international dimension, and trying to understand better the impact of digital technologies. Now, recent studies conducted for us confirm a great deal has been achieved. They show that social enterprise and social economy ecosystems are now more developed and dynamic than 10 years ago. For example, there are more specific legal frameworks for social enterprises and the social economy. And overall, some 16 member states have adopted new legislation related to social enterprises since 2011. New policy frameworks and strategies have also emerged, including in Ireland, as was mentioned earlier. And in many cases, EU co-funding has actually encouraged the development of national strategies or support programs, or at least co-funded them. And indeed, the European cohesion funds have literally been game changers in some countries where there was no other funding, and it's therefore helped social enterprise ecosystems emerge in a few countries. And just to give you an idea of the scale of EU investment, over the last 7 years, some €1 billion was earmarked under the European Social Fund, specifically for social enterprise support. Now, in addition to kind of improved legal frameworks and policy frameworks, access to finance has also improved through EU support delivered through financial instruments managed for us by the European Investment Fund. Essentially, this activity has increased the number of financial intermediaries across Europe providing finance to social enterprises and microfinance. So in Ireland, for example, you can access loans, you may not know it, but you can access loans with EU backing through Microfinance Ireland and Social Finance Foundation. And the deals with these two entities are expected to leverage close to €70 million in financing for micro and social enterprises in Ireland. Now, for our instruments across the EU as a whole, we estimate that some €1 billion of EU investment will leverage some €3 billion in total. So this is quite clever use of public funds at a time when public finances have been strapped. But my colleague Shadeen, who's in the next panel, he'll tell you more about this part of our work. But in brief, I won't go into everything that's been achieved, but I just want to give you a sense that a lot has been done and these initiatives have helped us come a long way. But whilst there has been considerable progress, there are still many challenges which hamper the full potential to address societal challenges on an even larger scale. And the challenges span across the whole environment in which social economy organisations operate. And this is why we're preparing a new EU-level action plan for next year. Now, with a view to the future action plan, the idea will be for the Commission to put the spotlight on this area, which can make an important contribution to propelling Europe into a new world, which so many European citizens are craving for, an economy that really works for people. So it will seek to promote awareness, visibility, and recognition of the social economy and its potential to support a fair and sustainable recovery and to support the green and digital transitions. So we'll be looking at the needs of social economy organisations and where the EU can bring an added value. And then we want to propose actions enabling social economy organisations with a view to helping them to start up, create jobs, assist with labour market integration, scaling or replicating their impact and innovating. Now, very important in preparing the action plan is that we'll clarify and recognise the diversity of players in the social economy family, as well as the different target groups it can help. So whether it's the long-term unemployed, young people, people with disabilities, migrants, groups facing systemic discrimination, etc. And similarly, we recognise the heterogeneity of the national landscapes, traditions and legal forms in which the social economy operates across Europe. So we'll respect and take into account all these things. In terms of process, our work on the action plan has begun, and there are various dimensions to it. First, we'll draw on a solid evidence base, including a comprehensive study that's been going on for a year, examining the impact of the previous EU initiatives in this field. And the study is near completion and should be published early next year. For this study, over 300 stakeholder interviews, something like 320 interviews across Europe were conducted, so including in Ireland. In addition, we'll draw on a broad range of independent studies and research. I'll just mention one, but the one I'd highlight is a new mapping study of social enterprise ecosystems covering 36 European countries, so 36 country reports, as well as a synthesis chapter. And this includes a detailed chapter on Ireland, for example. And the study gives important insights into the needs in each country. So that's very important for the action plan. We'll also draw on opinions by other EU institutions and bodies, such as statements by the Council or the European Parliament or the European Economic and Social Committee and the Committee of the Regions. Now, so in addition to this rich evidence base that we'll draw on, we're also working closely with a whole range of Commission services, because indeed the social economy is present in many economic sectors and it's therefore a highly transversal topic touching on many domains. So we're working closely with all our colleagues across Commission departments. And then thirdly, we're engaging in really extensive stakeholder engagement and consultation. So in addition to the extensive interviews I mentioned for the study, we're engaging in deep discussions with the expert group, our expert group on social economy and social enterprises, which was mentioned to you by Joe and by Paul, the GECES for short, which essentially represents national governments and stakeholders. And it includes 3 Irish representatives, Clan Credo, the Department of Rural and Community Development, and Clare County Council. So they're fully involved in discussions preparing the action plan, and perhaps they've already reached out to you. Now, stakeholders have also had the opportunity all year long to provide input in the framework of a public consultation on the implementation of the European Pillar on Social Rights. And furthermore, there'll be an opportunity to provide feedback on a roadmap for the action plan, which we'll publish early next year. Finally, the Commission is, although people don't often realise, it is actually an extremely open organisation. So I would say, please feel free also to send me any inputs directly that you wish to make about the needs of the social economy as you see them and how you think the EU could contribute to finding solutions. So perhaps wrapping up, if I just look back over the last 10 years, I think the landscape for social enterprise and social economy in Europe is significantly altered and improved. EU-level support has played an important part in this. It wasn't the only thing, but it has played an important part in helping to inspire change. And it sent a powerful signal, in effect, to the national level about the value of investing in this field. And this can be important for policy reform at the national level in this field, as well as in others. However, more needs to be done. The social economy is still underdeveloped in most European countries, and so there's a considerable potential to develop it further. And the EU our competences are limited in this field, but we can do a lot to help member states with this process. And so the action plan will shine the spotlight on this potential, and we hope to create a new impetus across Europe in the member states. So finally, we hope you'll engage with social entrepreneurship and join us in efforts to ensure that the recovery that we desperately need is green, digital, just and fair, and to seize the opportunity presented by this crisis to build a more sustainable and better world. So thank you.